All right, good afternoon or good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Scotts Valley Community Advisory Committee. Not hearing. Can you hear this? Okay, is this better? All right, sorry about that. So welcome to the Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council on July, whatever the date is, 21st. And welcome everybody. And we'll start with the roll call of membership. Jody Attic?
Here.
Here. Joel? Here. Jarrett? Here. Cornelia?
Here.
And Greg's here. Okay. I'll accept a motion to approve
What's that?
the posted meeting agenda. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to accept the current agenda in front of us?
I make a motion.
All right, Jarrett, and seconded by Jody.
Sure.
Thank you. The agenda has been accepted. Now it's time for public comment. Any person may speak up to 3 minutes on a subject not on the accepted agenda. Council shall not substantially discuss or act upon it, but may look at it as a future agenda item. Does anybody have anything on a non-agenda item that they'd like to speak to? Not hearing any, I'll close the public comment at this time. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest speakers tonight, our presenters from Sonoma Clean Air Power. To learn more about Lake County could offer the alternate to PG&E's electric power sources, cut emissions and potentially trim rates, which I like to hear, while retaining PG&E grid maintenance. Mendocino and Sonoma counties have successfully replaced PG&E power sources with their own, and the Lake County is considering this similar option. So I invite up to the speaker, our guests, to speak on this for the 20 minutes. We have anybody?
They're going to be online.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Zoom. Okay.
Thank you. I just want to do a sound check. Can folks in the room hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking to you guys.
Thanks. If there are questions that are important, I might need Thomas to repeat them. The sound from the microphones at the committee desk is a little bit hard to hear, so I just wanted to share that. So my name is Jeff Cyphers. I'm very grateful that Supervisor Brad Rasmussen invited me to come and speak today. I do have some slides, and I'd like to see if I can work through them in about 15 or so minutes. But I also want to hear from you all and hear some questions about your ideas as well. So I will share my screen and get my face will get small. And let's see if I can do this successfully.
Sit over there.
Can you see that slide?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. All right. So I think what I want to start with is just a question that your county and city leaders at Lake Port Clear Lake and the county are asking, which is, should we create a new option for where your power gets produced? And today, PG&E is making those decisions for you. And so what I want to describe is something that is growing in popularity around California and something that Lake County is asking us to consider offering to your region. Oh, that went backward. Let's see if I can go forward. So Sonoma Clean Power is a public electricity provider. We're owned by our member cities and counties and not by investors. And so what that means is the public owns us directly. And we are set up as a convenience of cities and counties to sell cleaner electricity at competitive rates. We really importantly not just build large energy projects, but one of the things I'm most proud of is that we advocate for lower costs. And that's in Sacramento when it comes to laws and policy, but it's also at the California Public Utilities Commission when they argue that PG&E should raise the rates. We're often there to fight for something less than what they're asking for. And we're not allowed to use taxes. We're actually separate entirely from the tax system, and so we do have to charge for all of our expenses through rates, and we don't earn a profit. So it does look closer to a municipal utility than a for-profit model. But really importantly, the thing I want to emphasize maybe the most today is that if Lake County does join this entity, that you get a new choice. So you can still get your power produced by PG&E, or you can choose to get your power from our cleaner resources. And the thing that is unusual about this kind of entity is that nothing else does change. So PG&E still stays involved. They still send out a combined electric bill with both of our charges on it. So their charge for delivery and our charge for power generation. PG&E still does all the poles and wires and meters. They still fix all the power lines. In fact, they do really everything they do today, they continue to do. And if those of you weren't kind of reading the news when Gray Davis lost his job back in 2000, PG&E was really required to sell off almost all of their power plants. So they're not really in the power production business anymore today, with a couple notable exceptions, including Diablo Canyon, their nuclear power plant. They still operate that. So what we are is a special kind of public agency called the CCA, and we currently serve Sonoma and Mendocino counties, but around California, this model has grown really rapidly. So the coastal region really launched first, and a lot of that had to do with regions that had some staff who could dedicate the efforts to this and had some funding, but it's filling in very quickly in the Central Valley. So Glen and San Joaquin are actually going to launch next year. We're seeing a lot of the Inland Empire getting served in Southern California next year as well. And so this model is growing very rapidly, and about 60% of PG&E's region, their territory, is served by CCAs today. So this is a quickly expanding model. We build big stuff. So this is a 46,000 kilowatt wind project that we built in Livermore, California. We also build small things. So this is the La Villa Ranch in Petaluma, California, where we built just a 1 megawatt solar array. And so we do kind of both ends of the spectrum of small and large. We also work with nonprofits. And so one of the things I'm actually most proud of is we've helped, oh, sorry, was there a comment?
No, someone called.
Oh, okay, thanks. So we also work with nonprofits, and one of the things I'm proud of is a lot of what we're finding is nonprofits who have delivery vehicles or vehicles just that are necessary for their business. If we can get over the hump of the first price of an electric car or a van, they can actually save a lot of money on fuel and maintenance. And so we offer to nonprofits is up to $22,500 for discounting the price of buying a larger vehicle like a van or a truck. And that really lowers their operating costs. And so this is something we've got, I think, 20 of these out in the community so far that have taken advantage of this. And then we also work a lot with schools. So one of the things that we're giving back on is, and this is because we're publicly owned, so our county and city officials really demand this of us reasonably, which is, give back money to scholarships, to trades, to programs that kind of train our youth into good careers and all the rest. So this is a program we run in our high schools where kids learn how to build an electric car from scratch, and at the end of the year it's a street legal vehicle that they get to drive, and they're super proud. So this is a fun program. So the process for this is that first Lake County, Clear Lake, and Lakeport would have to vote, and this is an open question, so we don't know if they're going to choose this path. But if they do, then we would do a lot more community outreach. This is very, very high level today. And so we did a little bit of a deep dive at the County Board of Supervisors, then Lakeport and Clear Lake in the last 2 weeks to get started, where they could talk about risks and benefits and so forth. There's a lot more of that will come if they decide to vote and proceed. And importantly, we would want to make sure everybody knows about their options, because this is unusual. When you do it the first time, it's turning out to be like the norm in California now, but because it would be new for your region, we want to make sure we have probably 20 plus community meetings after a vote occurs, maybe even 30, where people can hear about and learn about their options. We want to make sure that we send mail to every customer, probably 5 different messages over 5 months, and make sure people understand their options. And the key is you can stay with us as the power generation, and what that means is PG&E still does delivery. We just run the generators, or you can switch back to PG&E for your power generation. So that is the key kind of question on the table. And I want to highlight one thing here, which is that we are not going to save the world. We have a good history of trimming costs a little bit most of the time. But if you look at this chart, the bars that go below that center line are when we had years of savings over the last 11 years. The bars that go above the line are when we were more expensive than PG&E. And this is on your total electric bill. So this is after all the costs and fees and everything are factored in. So what I want to be very candid about and honest is there will likely be a couple of years in the next decade where we're more expensive. On average, if history is a guide, we'll probably be cheaper a majority of the time because we don't charge a profit. But I think the key here is that our value is really much closer and associated with our advocacy. So when we've trimmed bills over the last 11 years, we've saved a little over $100 million on bills, which sounds amazing, and I'm really proud of that. But in our advocacy, we've actually cut PG&E's side of the bill by over $200 million. So it's a bigger benefit than even what we can trim off of power bills in terms of fighting for better policy and better regulation. So the last kind of substantive slide I've got is that we have a clear vision of the future. We are investing in local power and really very excited about what we're seeing coming out of Utah and Italy and Colorado in terms of geothermal energy technology that uses way less water than the old style and uses way less land. So geothermal energy that can be done from the surface with a small footprint with very low seismic risk very low air quality risk, and that newer technology that came out of the oil and gas industry is something that we're really aiming to build. And the key there is to make sure we've got clean power resources that run all the way through the winter and through each nighttime, so that we're not only dependent on solar power with natural gas to back it up, but we're actually able to start shutting down some of the natural gas plants and stop paying them the pretty exorbitant fees we pay them. Today, I don't know if folks in the room know, but about a third of your power bill is going to natural gas power plants that are not currently running, but waiting to run just in case you need them at nighttime or in the winter. And so that standby cost is a really big expense on the power bill. So I think what I'll do is wrap up and check for questions with this slide. And so where we are today is that we're doing a lot of community meetings like this one. I'm going to ask my board on August 7th to consider making an offer to Lake County. And then throughout August and September, I'm expecting the city and county staff to kick the tires, ask all the hard questions, figure out all the legal details, and then decide what they want to recommend to their city councils and the board of supervisors. And then throughout the month of October, I'm expecting those entities to vote about whether or not they wish to join. And then if they do, and that's an if, then in 2026, throughout that entire year, we would come up and make a lot of public meetings to inform everyone about their options. And then this is a long lead time, so apologies for coming to you so soon, but in 2027, service would begin likely in the summer, so like May of 2027. And that has to do with the regulatory timelines, which really require a pretty long waiting period. So that was the quick snapshot, but I will stop my share screen and turn it back to the committee. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. It's very informative. We already have one question. I'm going to recognize Cornelia.
Just a quick question. What's the downside?
What's the downside is what she asked.
Thanks for repeating that. So I think the downside is that this requires a long-term commitment. And what that means is the two incorporated cities and the county of Lake County would absolutely be able to join, and any individual customer could choose to leave at any time, but the cities and the county could not force any customer to leave without a very long noticing period. And the reason is we go out and we buy power on a 20-year contract. And so the key with that is we have to have some customers to help pay for the cost that we're buying that power for. And so that long-term commitment is one of the things the supervisors and the cities are really thinking about. The other is we can't promise our rates will be lower. So I said that earlier, but I just want to emphasize there can occasionally be years where rates are higher. And that has to do with the fact that we don't control the regulators and we don't control power markets. So the regulators could suddenly impose a new requirement on us that we didn't have before, and that could cost something. So the risks are real, and I encourage you to really kick the tires and think about it. This is absolutely not a hard sell. This is something where we actually don't make more if we expand. So I want this to be something where it feels right. So keep asking more questions.
We have
Thank you
two
on
from Zoom.
Do we have one other?
Wait, he's talking.
We have two questions from Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Ben is asking, can you tell us what incentives and rebate programs will end with a switch to SCP, Sonoma Clean Power?
Thank you. So all of PG&E's existing rebate programs and incentives and low-income discounts continue without change because they're paid for through the delivery charges that you would all continue to pay. So there's no change in PG&E's programs today. What would happen is we would add some additional, and this would be on the basis of the board, we would add some additional rebates. And so today, what we add are programs that invest in local nonprofits, that invest in local education for scholarships and trades, that provide some rebates for heat pump, HVAC systems, and water heating. But all that's subject to change, and it's subject to whatever our board deems is important and valuable. And so Lake County would have 2 seats on the board and would help drive those decisions about what is important and valuable. So no reduction in incentives, some increase in incentives that would evolve over time.
And then
Next
the
question.
second question was, will batteries for storage of solar-powered energy be compatible with SCP?
Yes, so we actually do provide some incentives for batteries, but the bottom line is that batteries for storage, whether they're on a home or a business, have pretty significant value today. And for those who are kind of newer to solar, it has to do with the fact that solar has been so successful and expanded so quickly that the real market value of solar power at noon has dropped to very close to zero today in California. And so if we can put it in a battery and use it in the evening instead of the daytime, then the value goes way up. So what we're finding is that helping customers get that value is one of our most important things. I will say that a pro tip for solar, for those, I think about 15% of Lake County has solar on their roof. One of the things we're finding is that if we can help you use the power you're making exactly when you make it instead of needing batteries, you can save even more money and get more profit. So here's two ideas. One is, if you got a dishwasher, can you run it during the middle of the day when the sun is shining, as opposed to waiting for the evening? Turns out that means you're actually going to get full retail value for the solar power because you're producing it and using it at the same time. Same idea, if you can get an electric car and charge it in the daytime and park it at home once in a while, that turns out to be something where you can get full retail value and you're not depending on PG&E or us to give you value. So one of the things we're doing is running classes and trainings on how to get more value.
You have a question? You have a question?
Yeah, just click it. It's a new one, so it just slides up.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay.
And it's really sensitive, so you don't have to talk directly into it.
Oh, hi, okay. Tom Lasik, thank you, board. I have some questions and comments. One is that I did hear this presentation at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and I did make a comment there. I am neutral.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, yes, I did make a comment during the Board of Supervisors meeting. This presentation is slightly different. I did come out as neutral, and I still am. I've been in my past life, I have had clients who are major energy producers in the United States, and I've been following energy ever since, if not even prior to that. I am a big fan of CCAs in general. They do tend to offer a lot of services and things of that nature for the community. My concern, however, is not so much with us as consumers, but the concern about the geothermal power. So one of the questions I have is if we join as a county, is a precondition to that to open up Lake County's geozones. Now, the map this time has not been shared, but the map that was shared at the Board of Supervisors showed a large geozone that included pretty much the whole western side of the part of Sonoma and Mendocino. Mendocino County, their section probably has less than 1% of the census population. It's a little bit hard to tell, but it looks like Sonoma is about 4%. But Lake County's section of that geozone is close to half, 50% or 40%. It's hard to tell, but it's dramatically different size. So I am concerned about what, you talked about what's the downside. Well, one of them is it hasn't yet been clear as to what our, if we do sign up for that, if we have to also agree to open up Lake County as a geozone. And I think we need to discuss that because we really don't know yet what that is. I've seen surveys that have pin drops on a bunch of wells. Well, one of those wells is my well. So it could go anywhere. Right now, Calpine has their facility in a very remote area. Unless you're driving at the right time of day, you don't see the steam rising. But the new geo zone, it's all over Big Valley, all over that whole area. So that's my other concern. I will also mention that I think one of the upsides of a CCA is if you do have solar or generating your own power from the websites that SCP has, they offer a little bit more of a money for true-up. It tends to be, I think, and maybe the speaker can clarify this, but it tends to be an extra penny per kilowatt than what PG&E offers in its rebate. So I think that's really good. So I am on the fence, but I think we need to make sure that we go through this eyes wide open, that we don't say for extra 10, 12 bucks per month, we don't turn our county into a whole bunch of rising steam stacks like the Rust Belt has, or another Taft, California, where there's a well, a grasshopper thing every half mile. So that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you for your information. I'm going to ask the rest of us to keep it real short. We're way over time right now. So next.
Are we going to allow him to respond?
Yeah, I'm going to let you respond, yeah. I'm just trying to get everybody to shorten their presentations because we're starting to run deep.
The chairman said were you able to hear everything that Tom was saying, Jeff?
I heard the commenter, but not the chair. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so go ahead and respond to Tom.
Okay, sure. So, first of all, I'm grateful for comments like we just got. This is a really important kind of conversation, and so I think when it comes to geothermal power, the details matter a lot, and we get that. So we launched our initiative about 3.5 years ago. We've spent dozens and dozens of public meetings kind of driving the community input into what good geothermal looks like and how it can benefit the community, not just with jobs and tax revenues, but also with prudent management around seismic issues and water management and air quality and so forth. We have not even begun that process in Lake County. And so fully understand why there's some concern about charging for it. I think my pitch would be California has already ordered the construction of 2,000 megawatts of new geothermal power that will be driven by state agencies and probably beginning next year. I'm a little bit concerned that they're not going to respect local issues if we don't organize. So one of the things I would ask for is Lake County to consider helping steer that process so that geothermal doesn't come into Lake County from outside and not respect the setback zone or other kind of key issues that your community has. We have the same kinds of concerns. We don't have a lake with a setback zone, but we have other issues. And then I think the last comment is, I think our board does have a general interest in confirming some alignment with the interest of expanding geothermal using these newer technologies. And so I don't yet have an answer from my board about whether or not it's a precondition of service. I will seek to get that by August 7th so that you have an answer to that question. But I do know they have expressed a lot of interest in having good alignment at a minimum. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Okay. We have probably two more questions, so again, I ask everybody to keep responses and answers and questions short so we move along. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Margot Kambara. Quick comment or two. One of the board members tonight asked, what is the downside?
Hold on a second. Your new microphone muffles everything. Is there a way you can make it so it's a little crisper?
The fan here. No, not that, sir, not that. He's talking about
Jerry,
that.
that one.
Test, test,
It's real hot, so you don't have to be so close.
test.
Thank you.
Is that better? Okay. Thank you. Earlier, when we started this topic, a board member asked, okay, what is the downside of this proposal? I would suggest, as our speaker suggested, the long-term commitment. So keep in mind that a long-term commitment we're looking at is at least 20 years. Within that time, technology advances. We may be tied to an agreement that really doesn't make sense anymore for Lake County. That's one. And I do want to say that consumer choice aggregators are very exciting and hold a lot of potential for Lake County. So I'm not against this proposal whole cloth, but I do urge that we look at the big picture. And the other is that Sonoma Clean Power may not be the best choice for Lake County. There are other consumer choice aggregators. There may be some other energy solutions that better suit Lake County. So in the interest of keeping an open mind, please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And we have another comment on Zoom, when you're ready. Okay, Nazba asked, she asked, just asking for clarification on what was said. Oh, it was hard for her to hear this, but about any changes to true-up bills.
So for solar customers, there is no change. So when solar customers come on to Sonoma Clean Power, they really stay with the same it's a legacy compensation that they have. So there's NEM 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. There's a number of different schemes that the California Public Utilities Commission has set up for compensating solar customers. It basically got less and less lucrative over time. And that does not change with Sonoma Clean Power. So that stays exactly the same.
Okay, thank you. My question is, of Sonoma Power, what is your definition of clean power? And what would be PG&E's definition of clean power?
I apologize, but it's hard to understand the speakers from the dais.
Yeah, I do apologize for that
Okay,
too.
can you hear me now?
No, that's not going to make a difference. That's not what it is. Okay, I'll repeat the question for you. What is the difference between Sonoma Clean Power and PG&E's Clean?
What is the definition of?
Oh, what is the definition of Sonoma Clean Power
And the definition for PG&E?
and the definition for PG&E?
Okay, so we are under state regulations for what we can claim. And so the California Energy Commission regulates all our communication about what is clean power. So today in California, and you might agree or disagree, but clean power is geothermal, biomass, batteries, things like that, plus a category that is not called renewable, but is clean, which is hydropower, and then the state also includes nuclear. We don't currently purchase nuclear, but that's available. And then everything else, like natural gas, coal power, are not renewable or considered clean. So when we compare with PG&E, in fact, I don't know, can I take 2 minutes to pull up one more slide just to show you this visually?
Go ahead.
Okay, so let me pull that up. Let's see. Okay. All right. So today, this is California. Well, last year rather. This is California's power sources. So it was 40% from natural gas, 9% from nuclear, and then the rest was what you might call clean power, with a pretty big fraction coming from solar. And that's pretty typical across the utilities. So that's not very different from PG&E or in Southern California with Edison, and so forth. So how that differs from our work, so our default power is pretty significantly still from hydropower, wind, and geothermal. We produce a smaller amount of solar than the state's average because our customers produce a lot of it on their own. We have over 200 megawatts of rooftop solar in our territory today, and Lake County actually is pretty comparable to Sonoma and Mendocino counties on that front. You're producing about a comparable amount. On the left, the default service has also biomass, nuclear at under 1%, and CAISO system power, and that system power is mostly natural gas. So if you're comparing labels between PG&E and Sonoma Clean Power, what's called system power is just what we buy when we don't produce it ourselves, and that's probably 90% natural gas. On the right is an optional premium service that we have, which we call Evergreen, and that is 100% made in Sonoma and Mendocino counties today. If we expanded the lake, we would include resources in Lake County, and that is a 24-hour, 100% of the time, so every hour of the year, renewable resource. And it costs homeowners and renters about $13 a month extra. So this is not for everyone. But if people can afford it, this is a huge investment in local resources. So the one on the left is the default, and that's pretty comparable in price to PG&E or often cheaper. The one on the right is a little bit more expensive, but not a lot. So I just wanted to share that so you could get a visual. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate you coming here and giving us full of information. I think it's important to start this information to inform us and also for the cities and the county how we're going to produce. So again, I thought it was very well presented, and we thank you for your presence.
More Zoom questions? Are there more Zoom questions?
No more Zoom questions.
So again, I think you've responded well to all of us, so thank you again, and we wish you the best.
If we have more,
Thank you for making time for me. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
I have
Thanks,
a quick
Jeff.
question. Sorry. Can you ask him?
You can ask him.
Well, unless he can't hear it. If we have any follow-up questions, do you have a way to get a hold of you?
Certainly. So, let's see, I would love to send a email address for questions. Can I get that out through somebody here? Is there somebody I can contact to send an email address?
Yeah, just, Jeff, go ahead and send it to Brad, and then he'll get it out to everybody else.
Perfect.
Okay.
I will get that out by tomorrow.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I didn't have it ready for tonight. That's a perfectly fair question, and I apologize I wasn't ready for it.
You'll be ready next time. Because we're going to do this a few more times. All
We'll get it out tomorrow. Thank you.
right,
Thank
thanks,
you so
Jeff.
kindly. Thank you Supervisor Rasmussen for arranging him to be here. Appreciate it very much. We're going to move on next to the Department of Water Resources presentation, update on the hydraulic study, hitch work, and information on groundwater projects and underway with Scotts Valley. So please welcome our speakers. And please introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name's Todd Abbott. I'm the new Water Resources Program Coordinator, and I'm going to go ahead and pass out some hydrograph charts for you that accompany my presentation.
Thank you.
What was your name again?
My name's Todd Abbott.
Todd Abbott.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Good evening. How's my sound? Everything okay?
Yes.
Okay.
You can move it up if you like.
Don't need the
On our new
reverb. Huh?
favorite microphone.
Okay. Is that good? Okay, thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. It's an honor to address the committee, the group here tonight, and those online. My name is Todd Abbott. I'm the new Water Resources Program Coordinator, specifically tasked with groundwater monitoring and management. I've been in this position a short 3 months now, but I'm getting quickly up to speed. Before this job, I was a garlic farmer for 15 years, including 8 years here in Lake County and 4 years here along Scotts Creek, just right down the road. My family and I are members of this community. This is our forever home, and I couldn't be more excited to be working with you to manage and maintain our sustainable groundwater levels in our basin. Can you hear me? Is that okay? I'd like to provide a brief update on the state of groundwater here in Scotts Valley and some upcoming and continuing actions that we're taking. As most of you know, Scotts Valley Aquifer is brimming with water. Seasonal aquifer levels can be as high as 1 foot beneath the surface, and artesian wells can be found within the basin, one of which is adjacent to my property. It's a problem that others might be happy to have, but as you know, it's one that causes issues for our communities, particularly with localized flooding. Again, I know because the bend in the creek I'm on floods most years. In 2014, just very briefly, California adopted the State Groundwater Management Act, which set forth a statewide framework to help protect groundwater resources over the long term. To comply with SGMA, as it's called, groundwater basins are evaluated by the California State Department of Water Resources based on components such as population and groundwater use. Groundwater basins deemed medium priority or higher by the Department of Water Resources are basins that show signs of being unsustainable over time and are subject to SGMA actions to bring the basin into sustainability. Scotts Valley Basin, with all of its water, is not considered a medium or high priority basin and is therefore not subject to SGMA, but there is a growing emphasis on long-term sustainable groundwater management. For us, that translates into expanded monitoring actions and administering appropriate management decisions to secure the resource for future generations. The Lake County Department of Water Resources tests the elevation of groundwater in Scotts Valley twice per year, measuring seasonal highs and lows. These measurements help us evaluate how much water is available in the basin, including how much is being pumped from the ground and the amount of groundwater recharged through seasonal precipitation. The long-term trend is clearly one that shows sustainable levels of groundwater for the community, as the consistently high water table suggests and as the graph I passed out outlines. I'll take just a second to speak about this graph. As you can see, the left side accounts for, this is feet, not meters on the left, and time stretching to the right. We took a sample of about 15 different wells across, distributed throughout the groundwater basin, and went back all the way to about 1957 or 58. And as you can see, the basin is quite stable in terms of seasonal highs and lows. The highs, of course, being in March, April-ish, after we've had our seasonal rains, the lows being towards the 1st of October is when we survey those. With the exception, of course, of the spike here, when we had a significant drought, the basin has been relatively stable for quite a while. We're working to provide these seasonal test numbers on our website so community members can access this data. This is part of our focus to bring a greater level of understanding and management to groundwater conditions here in Scotts Valley. To that end, we have a number of projects and management actions, PMAs, in the works intended to provide more understanding of the groundwater basin characteristics and to adopt management techniques to protect the water source for domestic users and agricultural interests. We are expanding a program initially implemented in Big Valley called Aerial Electromagnetic Surveying, AEM for short, which is a technique of mapping the groundwater basin to understand water storage characteristics, such as the size of the storage capacity of the basin and the geologic and structural makeup of the aquifer. This helps us to understand if additional storage capacity is available here in the Scotts Valley Aquifer, and if so, how best to utilize that storage for long-term basin sustainability. One technique currently being examined is recharging groundwater with surface diversions, a process called flood management aquifer recharge. This is done by diverting and briefly storing surface water to allow that water to percolate into the groundwater table. Given the flooding concerns of Scott Valley, the idea of diverting water in ways that reduce flooding, especially localized, while enhancing groundwater capture is one that deserves our consideration. Mapping the groundwater basin and understanding the basin's water intricacies will be critical to providing appropriate management decisions. I'll take just a second and address that in terms of the basin itself. Like I said, we're just overflowing in many years with water, specifically in certain parts of the basin. This aerial electromagnetic survey will really give us an idea of what the basin looks like. And are there areas within the basin that can hold more water? Are there areas that we could, say, capture surface flow in areas that always flood and divert that to areas that don't, and where we could provide more groundwater for the community in that regard? The Aerial Electromagnetic Survey project will be seeking qualified contractors over the next couple of months to perform the work, and we hope to have the surveys started sometime over the next year. Another project in the beginning stages right now is called the Scotts Valley Groundwater Project. This project will build on the work initiated by the AEM study that I just discussed, and will evaluate aquifer inflows, outflows, and storage in an effort to determine groundwater levels and water movement across the basin. These two projects will lead to a better understanding of our basin, water storability within it, and ultimately management decisions to ensure a sustainable supply of groundwater into the future. Finally, expanded well monitoring across the basin will provide added evidence of conditions and provide management objectives going forward. The Department of Water Resources is planning to drill 3 to 5 wells across the basin dedicated to monitoring conditions at different heights, water heights within the well and water table. These wells will send data hourly to a water resources database, our water resources database, and we anticipate posting these results on our website as well. We also look to expand our well monitoring sample area to include more domestic users within this basin. The more wells sampled, the better our understanding of the resource and the more targeted our management decisions can be. And finally, we can be encouraged that our groundwater resources are substantial, and with proper management, we will be a consistent supply for many years to come. I really appreciate your time tonight. It's been a real pleasure to address you, and I can take any questions if you have them.
Are there any on Zoom?
Any questions? No.
Okay.
I,
Tom Lasik again. Welcome. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Because I have questions for him, so you probably is going to want to stand up here real quick. Just some general questions. The first one is, what basins overall in Lake County are in scope? I know Scotts Valley is one of them. I'm sure Big Valley is another. So that would be one of my questions. The second one is the expanded well monitoring locations. I understand there's several that are here in Scotts Valley, but I'm assuming that, again, there's going to be more than just Scotts Valley, Big Valley, and other, maybe High Valley and Long Valley. And then you mentioned water diversionary programs. If you could expand a little bit more on that as to how citizens, if they're interested, could be involved with that, sign up for it. And also, I know data is super important, and I've talked to Water Resources in the past about volunteering to use our well as an area, and since it runs right by Highland Creek, it's also maybe an ideal place to measure water flow. If you could just shed light on, how the community can help support that. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you for the questions. In regard to the diversions, the aerial study in particular will dictate what we're able to do and where within the basin. As of right now, we're going to have to make sure, with the basin being essentially 1/2 feet to 1 foot deep in some spots, we're going to have to make sure that if there is added recharge capacity, that we find that and we target that. That's going to also relate to where those above ground flows would be, where the diversions would be. And so I think that we're going to have to probably go through those studies first to be able to answer those questions. In terms of Big Valley, Big Valley is subject to SGMA. They are considered a medium priority basin. I won't get too deep into it, but essentially if certain wells drop below the level that the Department of Water Resources determines is the threshold for monitoring, then triggers set into where we have to go about doing projects and things that make the basin sustainable long-term again. That we're not up against that here. Really, if anything, it's trying to find a use for some of the overflow water, and the hope is that these studies will provide that window. And just a quick point also in terms of Highland, there's a conjunctive use, kind of a similar idea of using surface and groundwaters out at Highland Springs as well. So we're looking at a county-wide approach to this, and really a statewide approach in some sense. This is one of the largest environmental laws in, I believe, 25 or 30 years. It means a lot to the state, the groundwater monitoring and management. And so I think in a macro sense, We're really lucky to have basins with substantial water capacity, and at this point, it's really up to us to manage that resource and make sure it's there for our families going into the future. Did I address that okay?
I think so, yeah, there's a million questions, but I know that was good.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
When you're talking about expanding the well sampling, are you talking about the private wells that we signed up a couple years ago to have you come monthly to check the level?
Yes, ma'am, that would be ideal. It's a little difficult sometimes finding. We're so appreciative that you're willing to allow some well sampling. But yeah, that's a significant priority of ours. And we have about 3 to 5 wells that the California Department of Water Resources is planning on drilling across the basin in strategic zones to get a better idea, very deep, 350, 375 feet, to get a substantial idea of what's going on at the lowest ends of the aquifer.
Okay, because I'm one of those wells that I'm on ICOF, and I really appreciate the monthly information about how, my water level is dropping, or it's very surprisingly not dropping.
Surprisingly, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing as a department we're really looking forward to is being presenting this information and having it more accessible to the community. And so we'll be doing things like updating our website and providing a lot more of these resources going forward.
It's interesting. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Margot? You might as well just stand there, she might ask you a question. She doesn't bite though.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Todd. Wow, it sounds really interesting. The recharge of surface waters as your flood management. I'm sorry, I didn't catch all of the term. But anyway, what came to mind is, are we going to run afoul of Yolo County having rights to Lake County water? And then also, can you expand a little more? I think this goes along with bioswales, yes? To bioswales? No?
I don't know. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay. No, that's all right. You're the expert. But as far as trying to capture more of our stormwater runoff so they don't just run into the water courses, so they percolate more.
Right.
But so if you can expand, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, sure. In terms of, your first question addressed the surface water in relation to what, I'm sorry? Oh, thank you. That is a difficult question to answer. Pawan, our director, may have better insight into that. It's technical in that it relates in terms of like how long you're holding it. Are you really taking it? Is it a diversion? Is it a holding? So we get into the details there, and I'll be direct and honest with you. At this point, I don't have those specifics with me to be able to answer that really thoroughly, and so maybe Pawan can help with that.
Hello everyone, it's Pawan Upadhyay. I'm the Lake County Water Resources Director. And to address that question, it's being a pretty historic relationship between the Yolo County holding the water right, but there has been multiple treaties over time, like which changes, which governs like how we can use the water, or the people living around the water body or the stream has the riparian rights to use that water. But as far as things goes regarding the groundwater recharge, as we can see in this graph which has been shared here, especially the Scotts Valley Aquifer has been pretty sustainable. Like you can see, like it's not going down, or in the drought year it has dropped, but it has come back up again. So it means there is a pretty good hydrological connectivity between the surface water and the groundwater. So I think as far as the bioswales or other things using the surface water for recharging the groundwater, it's more about managing the surface water, because that's a major issue with the localized flooding. And I think Chris gonna give us some update on, because we have some projects going on for that as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Pawan. All right, well, I appreciate your time very much. It was a real pleasure to present today, and I'll call up my coworker Chris here to expand on some details. Oh, yeah. Any other further questions, please address it to Pawan, our director, if you would. I have a little bit of a family emergency I kind of need to race to, but I really appreciate the opportunity to present today, and I
Thank
give
you
you
so much.
Thank you. I provided a business
You
card.
go home-
Please
you go
reach
home and
out
take care of
anytime.
that family emergency.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
May I approach with some?
Yes, please, and introduce your, go ahead, when you're at the lectern, you can introduce yourself. Okay.
I think, guys, they're different. They're different. We just have to look at them.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Childers, Lake County Water Resources Program Coordinator, specifically Hitch Program Coordinator. Today I'm going to be presenting on two separate things. The first one is in the handout that I gave you here. It's the Tule Lake and Scotts Creek Fish Passage Assessment and Scotts Valley Flood Reduction Plan. And then after that, I will go into some hitch updates for everyone here. So the Tule Lake, Scotts Creek Fish Passage Assessment and Scotts Valley Flood Reduction Plan. Basically, this study is going to characterize the surface flow and hydrology relationships between Scotts Creek and Tule Lake. It'll also develop a prioritized list of stream flow enhancement actions, identify in-stream barriers for hitch, and create a 90% design for at least 2 of these hitch barriers to be removed. It'll initiate CEQA and permitting to improve passage for the hitch on Scotts Creek and create a flood reduction plan for Scotts Valley. There's some more details here. The goal is to better understand surface flows and interactions between Scotts Creek and Tule Lake, historic hitch spawning and rearing grounds. Other goals include identification of high priority barriers for hitch barriers for removal within Scotts Creek, and design and engineering plans for 90 to 100% removal of those barriers. Additionally, replacement of at least 2 of those barriers. So we're going to go into Objective 1. So Objective 1 is basically characterizing the surface flow and hydrology between Tule Lake and Scotts Creek. So the expected outcomes of this initial objective will include developing a prioritized list of stream enhancement actions with drone mapping data that can be used for continued enhancement projects in future years to come. These potential enhancement projects will directly impact hitch spawning and rearing habitat by addressing the known issues, which will allow future habitat enhancement projects to come to fruition. So objective 2 here is to identify in-stream barriers for the Clear Lake hitch and create a 90 to 100% design for removal of at least 2 of these barriers. As we all know, there are significant barriers in Scotts Creek that need to be addressed for the hitch to come up. Case in point, I didn't see any this year in Scotts Valley at all, and our surveys didn't see any either. I will get into that shortly. So this objective 2 outcomes will include design plans for removal of identified hitch passage barriers and initiate the CEQA and permitting process for barrier removal. Identifying and removing barriers will greatly benefit these hitch because then they can travel the waterways and enhance their population by spawning. And then also juvenile passage back to the lake will become much easier for these fish. So now we'll go ahead and if you flip the sheet over, we're going to go into objective number 3. Objective number 3 is actually the Scotts Valley Flood Reduction Plan. So an additional $100,000 sourced outside of the actual grant funds to complete a Scotts Valley Flood Risk Reduction Plan. These funds would be used to augment planning and hydrological engineering services to create a flood reduction plan for Scotts Valley as part of the overall grant-funded hydrological flow study that will be completed as part of the rest of the task. This is estimated to be completed within the next 2 to 3 years. This requirement was actually included within our grant when the board approved these funds to be used in conjunction with the WCB grant that we currently have to do these other 2 tasks here. among other things. And so it'd be greatly beneficial to the flooding in Scotts Valley. So I will go ahead and take questions on the first part, and then I'll go into hitch updates, if that's okay with the board and the chair.
Any questions from anybody?
I have a question about flood reduction.
Joel, he wants to talk about
Are you going to get to that?
yeah, he'll cover that next.
Okay.
I think we want to talk about hitch questions on the first part, right?
Any questions on anything I've brought
Oh,
up so
okay.
far?
Then Joel, go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
So I have a hard time imagining what you can do or anybody could do to reduce flooding in Scotts Valley. Seems like there's huge amounts of water come down from Cow Mountain in that area, and then it lands up in the Scotts Valley, which is fairly flat, and it very slowly drains into Clear Lake. So do you have any ideas? I mean, I don't want to be a complete pessimist. I would like you to have or like there to be a good solution to flooding and a good plan for reduction. Can you give us a hint that something would work?
So I really appreciate that question. That is what this $100,000 is set aside for. These are engineers that are very specialized in what they do. So they will come up with a plan for a flood reduction in Scotts Valley.
Great, thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
How about boat taxis?
Boat taxis.
Boat taxis.
In the, it's not a conflict, in the concern of frost protection of using water and pumping it for the agricultural versus the need of the fish gaining access through their what do you call it, migration or wherever they're going. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's concerns on both sides. Do you see any possible solutions or scheduling or how things work out so the agricultural folks out here are more relaxed about when they need that water for frost protection they're afraid it might not be available because of the hitch, and that's a real concern to some folks.
So thank you, Greg. I really appreciate that question. The frost protection probably won't be included in any of this. I don't have. There's nothing here with frost protection. With that said, I do see it as an issue.
And I might just, as a suggestion for you to consider that in your planning, mm-hmm. I would suggest that maybe you survey, vocally survey some of the agricultural folks up here like Steve Wynette and other folks that are very familiar with the challenges of trying to make a living with their crops every year versus what that might give you some insight about some solutions or working towards solutions.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, one.
I think so. Part of that, our process of the planning thing would include like public outreach, and we will reach out and make sure the different interests gonna get taken care of, and that's why these processes kind of little bit slower. And we will make sure, like, even though it's a hitch passes project, but the existing uses or something which has been part of the like how the water has been used or what the barrier has been created in the first place, somehow get included in this. Like, it's not we're gonna say we're gonna come and take it out and that's the only solution, but we will take their impact into consideration.
Well, thank you. And
Yeah.
nice hat.
Yeah, and thank you. And I think the earlier question there was about like what kind of solution it can be. So just to give you a brief overview on that, like it will come out from this study, but it might be saying vegetation clearing on the creek, like the Scotts Creek, and the sediment removal, or it might be like a map, like a flood map, which has been created as part of this. So people know in advance, like if it's gonna rain this much, up to what point the water gonna come. So it is kind of a preparation thing which people can take into account. So those kind of short, at least, which we can envision right now, something like that will come out from these studies.
Well, I know in the past description, there's been a lot of focus on the valve culvert during flooding and whether it's open or not, and who opens it and who doesn't. So we see flooding just down the road here in the straightaway a lot, and then also some flooding there right near Highway 20 in that dip before you get on there. And this seems to be the utmost focus of
Need newer equipment or what type of gates or anything modern which can be put it there.
Well, we certainly appreciate your department and your dedicated employees. Thank you for all your work you do. You make, it's nice to know the county cares about its citizens, and especially with folks like you doing that, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, you guys.
Okay, so to keep this quick, do I have time to go over hitch updates very quickly? Okay, great. So I passed out a laminated sheet for both tables here. So first of all, we have two visual spawner observation surveys within the county. One of them is the district survey, and that's 14 sites that we do internally. So that's all done all over spawner observation survey. So we have 33 or 34 sites, and they're covered by community members. And so it's very interesting to get all that collaboration and see that actually, like the district survey and the community science survey, we have both surveys have 5 locations within Scotts Valley, different locations, and we observed 0 hitch on either study this year. So last year, 2024, within the internal district survey, we did find 7 hitch on Hendricks Creek, at Hendricks Road and Scotts Valley Road on 4-2. 2024 also, within our district survey, we found 23 adult hitch at all sites combined in the whole county. And basically what that is, it's monitoring once a week for 12 to 14 weeks straight. That way you don't double count fish. And then 2025, 0 hitch were observed in Scotts Valley, both district and community science, as I had mentioned. 2025 now, we have 266 adult hitch observed at all sites combined in the district survey. So we went from 7 hitch in 2024 to 266 in 2025, which is it's the same exact survey, same sites, once a week. So basically the survey is gonna, you see relative trends over time, and that's what we're looking at here. So we only have 2 years of data right now, but once we get 3, 4, 5 years of data, we can look back and compare and say, hey, look, like we're seeing more fish or less fish. In 2025 also, there was 3,347 adult hitch observed in the community science survey. So these were mostly in Adobe Creek. So, any questions? I'm happy to answer.
I have a question. Regarding the hitch in Scotts Creek, does sediment in Scotts Creek, or I guess suspended particles, so I'm thinking about when Scotts Creek is high and flooding and muddy and full of particles in the winter, which seems to happen about every winter, does that cause problems for the hitch? Does it interfere with reproduction or breathing or anything?
That is a great question. I haven't seen any studies that talk about that particular issue that you said there, but there are many other creeks in the county, and they are not as turbid or cloudy, as you say, as Scotts Creek is. Scotts Creek is pretty dirty for a long period of time, so that could be one of the issues. Yes, the other creeks, they kind of, they get dirty and they clear up within a week or so, right? So Scotts Creek is not like that. It stays turbid for a prolonged period of time, and so. To answer your question, I haven't read any scientific articles or anything that actually prove that, but I think it is a good hypothesis, yes.
It's a good observation.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we go on? Well, thank you for, again, being part of the team that serves our citizens and from the county, and thank you for a complete presentation on the hitch. We appreciate that.
Thank you for having us tonight.
Thanks. We'll move into council business now at this time, and the first item A is consideration of the draft meeting minutes.
I don't know if they want to be bored by staying here.
If you wish to leave, you're welcome to do that. It's up to you. You're welcome to stay also. Cornelia wanted to make sure that you understood.
We don't want you to be bored.
Okay, so,
Yeah, see, they're leaving. All right. Well, thank you again.
so council business consideration of the draft minute meetings. And do I have a motion to accept the,
Hold on, he wants his maps. Give him his maps.
thank you, you want that handout? Okay.
Thank you again.
And so I'll entertain a motion to accept the draft minute meetings from the last meeting. Do I hear any motion?
I motion,
Cornelia makes a motion. Is there a second to that?
Jody will second it.
Jody seconds that. Any discussion on the past meeting minutes? Not hearing any, I call for the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any negatives,
did you even read them?
abstentions? Motion carries. The draft meeting minutes are now the official minutes of the meeting. On item B, old business, we have no old business. Item C, new business, we do not have any new business. So we'll move on to updates, calendar, and miscellaneous reports. And we'll go item D, we'll ask for our District 4 Supervisor Rasmussen to give any reports.
Well, thank you for the time tonight. First, I want to just thank Cornelia and and Jody and anybody that helped on the Scotts Valley Neighbor Fest. I know there was a big crew that was helping with that, and appreciate every council member being there, and also the great presentation from Jared. So I thought it was a good event that was beneficial for the community, and so I wanted to thank everybody for that, first of all.
And thank you for the hot dogs.
Yeah, no problem. So let's see, back to board meeting again tomorrow. One item on there to note that's been kicked down the road a couple of meetings is the potential fee increases for Air Quality District. I don't know if you've seen that, but basically the fees for our Air Quality District, other than CPI increases, haven't been adjusted since 1996, almost 30 years. So the district administrator brought back to us proposals to request and approve new fees for the many different things that air quality charges fees for, like, for example, burn permits. If you're setting up a gravel extraction plant or a geothermal plant, or you're putting in a gas station, just those as examples, there's fees for all those air quality reviews. And what came back to us last week was a 3-year proposal to raise the fees 35% the first year and then 30-something% the next 2 years. We requested that he bring that back to us again with also a comparison for what it would look like at a 4-year and a 5-year plan instead of a 3, because supervisors had concerns about the amount of percentage that was going to go up. Yeah. And I feel like we need to adjust the fees. It's been 30 years. We should have done it years ago. But I was not in favor of the big 35% the first year. So it's coming back for more discussion tomorrow. I just wanted to mention that because that's probably one of our more significant items for review tomorrow.
Thank you.
Other than that, that's the report. Well, Cornelia did ask me to comment because it was in the paper about the Scotts Valley Water Conservation District, because that election is in the filing period right now for that. Remember the board that I talked about, the Scotts Valley Water Conservation District? I mentioned my concerns and the plan to take it to LAFCO. Well, that's going to be a months-long process that was never going to be done before the next election. So they have to run the election for that water district this November. So the filing period is open now. I understand that there's 2 of the positions that are on the ballot. One of them, nobody's ran for it for 10 years. The other one, the current incumbent, from what I've been advised, is not going to run. So unless somebody else filed, that's going to leave it down to one of 3 board members. But I'm still in the works and taking this back to the Board of Supervisors for review to request that they send a resolution to LAFCO to review it. I haven't changed my thoughts on how to deal with that. So that's the situation right now. They have to advertise, they have to run the election.
Weren't you going to think about disbanding it?
Yes.
Okay.
My idea was, the Board of Supervisors doesn't have that authority, LAFCO does, but what we can do is, it's my opinion that district is really not serving any kind of a purpose right now. There's you folks here can do some of the things that was created for, as can our water resources. So
right.
I'm not proposing just to not monitor those things that are on their list, but I think it can be done more efficiently
Right.
without having to have that board. But nonetheless, that election, and that's the other reason, is we have to keep running these elections, and that costs money and people aren't filing. But there's no way to not do that this year,
Oh, okay.
because it's just the timelines. I mean, it's going to take the
So
rest of
if-
the year just to get it in front of LAFCO.
Right. So when the election comes, hopefully you'll get all 3 filled and then move on from there.
Well, I don't know if anyone's going to file.
Right.
My guess is that no one's going to run. And then that's going to be 1 board member. So, but even if they did get filled, I still haven't changed my thoughts on the future of it.
Right.
But I just don't suspect that it will right now.
We support that.
Yeah.
So there's no real downside relative to possibly using the money they have laying there later. There's no real downside to not having new board members. And is there any upside?
No, I mean, if somebody did run for that, and then I would work with that board as we go through this process. But they do have that money, which is going to have to be spent on some kind of a project that is within the reasons that district was created. So that money is going to be most likely allocated to water resources, and the Board of Supervisors would then guide how that gets spent. Because it's not going to go away. It has to go towards a beneficial project in the footprint of that water conservation district, which, remember, is not all of Scotts Valley. It's only 100 and something parcels within Scotts Valley.
I believe Tom has a question.
Yeah.
Vice Chair Rasmussen, let's suppose that for the moment a decision is made. Tom Lasik, let's suppose the decision is made that we do want to sunset that council or board or whatever it's called. Is there a set of steps that need to occur to make sure that, you mentioned that some of this could be taken on by this advisory council, some of it could be taken on by water resources. Is there a procedure or a step or a set of steps that needs to be followed in order to properly sunset and make sure the funds go where they need to go?
Yes, if LAFCO did go through dissolution procedures, then the Board of Supervisors would become the successor agency to wrap up its business. Okay. So it's at that point that we would go through that process of how to ensure that the things were taken care of. So that would be done by the board to wrap it up. But as we sit right now, that district hasn't met for over 2 years. And there's no way to access any information. There's no websites. There's no real public services that are going on. So, and there'll be plenty of more time for public comment because it's got to go through a LAFCO review, and it first has to go to the board to see if the board votes to send it to LAFCO for that review. So there'll still be numerous more opportunities for public weigh-in before that can even happen.
Yeah, thank you. It's just that if there was an expectation for this board to assume some components of that, they would need to be aware of what those were.
Right. And there's actually really no real legal duties. That there were 6 reasons that it was created. One of them, for example, has been off the table for 50 years. And that's one of them was to monitor the progress of the Scotts Creek Dam, which got approved by the State Water Resource Control Board, and then in a lawsuit, the Superior Court said, no, you can't do it because it didn't properly account for Yolo County's water rights. And then it never came back. So that's just an example of one of the reasons that. Yeah.
Quit trying to make more workload for us.
So that's my report, unless there's any other questions.
One other thought, Brad, on the air quality cost of living proposal.
Well, I think that,
what wasn't specifically narrowed down to is the yard burning, where you have an acre or more that you're allowed to burn fennel vegetation. It's a $30 permit now or plus. So if you're talking a 30% increase, you're putting it up to $40, and then another one, so you're going to be up about $55. The only thought I have to share with that for the board is that a lot of people do burn. And it's an easy way to get rid of it, especially if you had to haul it to the dump. It's a very expensive. The dump fees are getting higher and higher as well. And of course, the downside is if people are burning and when it's windy or whatever, you could have a fire escape there. But it is a very effective thing if people do use it right to get rid of the.
Yeah, we don't want that to go away, and I can only speak for myself, and what I said last week was I was concerned about these 35% increases over each year, and I'd rather see it pushed out to more 5 years, more 20%.
Well, apparently the fire departments were making money off of issuing the permits, and now all the permits are now air quality done. The fire departments don't issue permits anymore, except for CAL FIRE, I think.
Right. I think they all go through air quality now.
Yeah, maybe they do. So it's an interesting evolution.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the feedback. That's why we're still discussing it, because we had concerns about the impact on the community with the fees being raised.
I killed all my weeds with, they're dead. I don't have to do any weed eating or anything or burning.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the questions.
Yeah, I just thought. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item E under updates calendars. Observation regarding groundwater fire mitigation in Scotts Valley infrastructure. That could also include address signs, because that is a fire prevention or fire mitigation. In that sense.
I still have some funds available for more signs, thanks to the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians generous grant. it's surprising how hard it has been to get people to take advantage of this free thing. I think a lot of people said, "Oh, save it for somebody more needy than me," but in the meantime, those signs are not going up as fast as I like. So spread the word, and let's get those signs up. I also had I don't know, I wasn't quite ready. At the Neighbor Fest, we had a sign-up sheet for people who needed help and for people who would like to offer help on 2 action dates that we're going to have. And one of those, I don't have the list in front of me, but if anybody didn't come to the Neighbor Fest and would like to help for a couple of hours on a cool morning within the next month to help us help elderly or disabled neighbors to get things done in the 0 zone. That's the 0 to 5 foot zone around their house. I got a mini grant to get that accomplished, but it has a 30-day timeline. So,
Did you have anyone sign up to take advantage of it?
I have 10 people who want help and 3 people who offered help. So both sides could I have room for both. So just email me, call me, whatever.
And Cornelia, if you got 10 people, I have picks and shovels and bars and stuff. If you need to tool up,
okay.
please stop by and I'll load you up as long as you return them.
Of course.
I have plenty of tools to help you out.
Thank you. Now I just need some young, strong people.
Yeah, where are those at?
Have you set any dates for?
No, not yet.
Yeah. Also, just another thought, on these signs, if you go out to Scotts Valley to try to find a garage sale or a yard sale, it's almost impossible. You look around, you look at the signs, you go which way, which up and down.
It's not that hard. Put it up like that. This is your post. It's got to stick out from both sides.
Yep.
Putting it on a post like that doesn't.
And they make them up straight up and down too.
No, yeah, but then you can't see them from both
Right.
sides unless you stick them up like
Yeah,
that.
I know, on top of a post.
So the fire chief would really like them to stick out into the road, not blocking traffic, but into the road.
Because you look at these old mailboxes along the side, the numbers are off of them and so forth. The other concern is that I did go up and did a visual of the Eichhoff Road. And I don't mean to scare you, but that is a design for disaster up there.
That's where I live.
It gets down to that 1-lane dirt road and people are up there. I can see people trying to evacuate and fire equipment trying to get in there, blocking each other. I can see people trying to evacuate and fire equipment trying to get in there, blocking each other. The fuel loading there is on the right day with the right wind to the start. You're going to have a huge loss in there.
Why are you bringing this up?
Well, the reason I'm saying is that maybe one of the things we ought to consider is trying to get the community together, look at an evacuation plan and planning for that area that specifically says, educationally wise, a get up and go pack. What are you going to do with your animals? Possible staging area where you can bring animals, a number of different items. What can be used to assist
Okay,
them?
let's put that on the agenda.
So that's a food for thought. I'm thinking about that. We could try to spread to the community an interest in improving that area as well as preparation and education, not just for those folks, but the whole thing. So that's under item E. That's all I have. Let's see who wants to talk about water coming up. Okay, let's go to F. Ongoing input about the general plan or local plans. Anything, Margot, to have on that?
You can just take it out.
Just towards you. It's on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Board. In March, your board graciously sent a letter to the Lake County Board of Supervisors stating your support for the preservation of lands for agricultural uses relative to the general plan and the local area plan. While the general plan and the local area plan are being updated, your general plan and local area plan are at work. Before the Planning Commission on Thursday is a big project. This large project is the Gwinnett Valley Mixed-Use Plan Development Project. It involves rezoning 16,000 acres of agricultural or rural lands and ag preserve lands to resort commercial. This is a big change, It could change the character of Lake County. There is a community meeting tomorrow hosted by the Middletown Area Town Hall. It is at noon at the Middletown Library in the community room. And as I mentioned before, this whole agenda item goes before the Planning Commission, 9 a.m. this Thursday. The meeting is going to be held at the courthouse in the board chambers. There is also a Zoom participation option. Agenda items, files on the project have been posted on the county website. Interested parties can do a search on the web for County of Lake meeting calendar. And that is all I wanted to bring to your attention. Thank you.
That was 16,000 acres?
Yes.
Incredible.
Massive project.
And when is this, the meeting is tomorrow?
The community meeting is tomorrow with the developer in Middletown at the library in the community room. The whole matter goes before the Planning Commission this Thursday, 9 a.m. And the part that involves the general plan is for the project to go through, there has to be an amendment to the general plan. There also has to be an amendment to the local area plan. And there are a few other administrative things that have to happen. Needs a recommendation from the Planning Commission and approval from the Board of Supervisors. But this is another opportunity for public input. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot.
I'm just here for technical assistance, no comment.
Just hold on to it.
Okay, very good. Margot, we appreciate both you and Tom and your input and commitment to sharing with this committee. Thank you so much. We appreciate you both.
Thanks for being our I don't even know what the right word is.
Liaison.
Eye in the sky.
Liaison. Okay, item G is council member roundtable and calendar items. Jody, we'll start with you. Anything to report?
Nope. Since the Neighbor Fest is done, I'm done.
Thank you. Cornelia.
I appreciate everybody's support for this, and I think it was well attended, not as many people as last year, but more participation. And I think if we can get it somehow earlier in the year, that would be helpful. But with the high water table in Scotts Valley, it's just really hard to find a place that you can park at without sinking in the mud. But I'm working on it.
Okay, very good. Jarrett, anything?
I am starting the process of scheduling meetings with both CAL FIRE and BLM to get them to take a tour out on the ridge west of Scotts Valley, and so we can start a process of opening the door, being able to encourage and push on them to do the fire break work they used to do, and so we can start getting some more fire break and prescribed fire in place out there. So anyway, yeah, I'll keep a surprise on how that starts to unfold.
Well, I second that. I can tell you, doing prescribed burning for a lot of years, it sure is less money to do prescribed burning and improve the ridge tops than it is to have a fire come over and take everything out, so a lot less money and time. I know. Joel, you have anything?
No, I don't. Thank you very much.
Okay. I do have nothing else either, but I see Margot does.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make public comment on council member roundtables, specifically on Cornelia's report and Jody's report. Congratulations. NeighborFest, I think, was a rousing success. And it may not have been the numbers that you had last year, but I think it was the quality of participation and the engagement that you had was terrific. And thank you to the board for attending. And hats off to Supervisor Rasmussen for the expert grilling. Yes. It was terrific.
And his wife, too.
Yes, and Mrs. Rasmussen.
And Margot, do those comments mean more when you're on your tiptoes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then hats off to Jared, too, for a fascinating presentation. So it was a great combination of neighborliness, good information, and good food. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, so the only other thing is, remember, one item of news is the Scotts Valley Women's Club here is down to 5 members, which means the use of utilities and the room and so forth, that the chair is paying out of her own pocket. So I've asked the board, and they've all said they'd be happy to donate $5 every meeting to try to offset the cost of the room, and I think it's one thing that's there. We're going to look into the help me out, Brad. I'm looking for the word, the nonprofit statement being updated that may allow some support from the county. So I'll be working with the president of this club to try to see if we can work that out. So just because that they have been very good about that. I just found this out the other day that she's paying it out of her pocket with the lights and the heating and the cooling. So we want to be reciprocal. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
Does he have something to say?
Thank you, Greg.
What time you got?
Almost.